Okay, look, I get it, Matt. Damn it. I had it all in my head. Yeah, please. Okay, look, I get it. Daniel Murphy's your friend. He's your buddy. You like to hang out with him. You keep in touch. You text him. He's way too comfortable at the plate. You need somebody who can give him the brush back. Maybe even, not in the head, but up in the shoulder. But the Mets don't have any pitchers to do it. We'll talk about that and a lot more right now. Mets 360 starts now.
Tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I think I got the name of the show wrong. It's Mets Wrap 360. But you know what? You knew what I meant. And, I'm just all fired up in a bad way. But, as we talk about every week, you hear this music. Now, this is without the lyrics. This might be a mistake because the lyrics always puts me in a better mood. But I asked for this because I thought it was better to talk over. Welcome to Mets Wrap 360. That is the name of the show. I'm Christian Bladt on Twitter, @ChristianDMZ. Next to me, Andrea Fasano, @Andy Fasano.
Hi, everyone.
Way down over there, the man in black. In mourning for this first half of the Mets season, or at least the second half of the week. Matt Ritter on Twitter @MattRitter1.
Guys, I'm going to swing as hard on this podcast as Jose Reyes did on that third at-bat. Unnecessarily hard.
Unnecessarily hard. And we're going to talk about it. Still have the Cabarrus. He hits home runs his first two at-bats. I'm like, this could be the day I could open up the Cabarrus. We'd put it in our little AFTERBUZZ cups. We'd have a little. We'd probably, swish it around and spit it out in a bucket. But then, his two home runs, which, great day for Reyes. I mean, those two at-bats didn't really help because they didn't win. So, no, nothing to celebrate. The wine remains closed. I'd hope that we get to open it at some point. But
this season.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Second half.
Second half. Yeah, let's hope. But let's talk about what I was talking about in the cold open, which I did a great job on. Matt, is Daniel Murphy way too comfortable at the plate? And is it because he's their friend? Or is it because they just don't have the kind of pitchers that are actually capable of, crowding a guy off the plate? Like Matt Harvey, when he was the Dark Knight, I feel like maybe he would have. Syndergaard shouldn't be afraid to do it, but, he's afraid to pitch right now. So what do you think?
You know what? I was thinking about this because we're talking about it outside. I actually think the bigger problem is that he's protected by Bryce Harper in the lineup.
Yeah.
It almost makes it impossible to... You can't pitch around him. It's
right.
You just can't pitch around a guy who's batting before Bryce Harper. And their lineup is stacked. And unfortunately, you have to try and get this guy up. But I honestly don't know why anybody ever doesn't just take caught. You want to throw inside, but it's not even that. It's just like you have to be as careful with Daniel Murphy as you are with Bryce Harper at this point. You know what I mean? You can't pitch around him, but still, you cannot just groove one in or dare to throw a curveball to that guy.
No,
because he will crush that ball.
And also, Jason Worth, kind of an easy out if you're smart about your pitch selection. They kept putting him on in front of Murphy. Oh. So it's like, all right, the guy you need to get out, you're not even getting him, so you're already starting trouble. And Matt's pitched out of trouble well, but he also is the one who pitched himself into that trouble in the first place.
Can we look up Worth's career? Is it the most walks he's ever had in a series?
Yeah, probably. They were giving the stat today, during today's game, that Daniel Murphy has 21 RBI against the Mets so far in 12 games. The record for a season, Hank Aaron, 28. Daniel Murphy's a nice guy. He's not Hank Aaron. So, they only play 6 more times in September. So we'll see where anything is at that point. But, maybe he'll cool off a little by then. I don't know. But, Andrew, your thoughts about, a guy who's just killing you like that. Matt makes the point. Bryce Harper's right there in the on-deck circle. But what do you do? What can you do?
I don't know. Are you guys as tired as I am of playing the Nets? I'm just tired of it.
So.
I'm just can we maybe change up the schedule,
I've never
please?
been more afraid.
Yeah,
I'm just
unexcited.
over it. I feel like it's the same story.
This is more debilitating than in the years when the Mets were bad, and I think that they would go 2-17 against them.
Yeah.
This feels worse than that because you know that you're better than that.
The light on the end of the tunnel is what you're saying. We only have 6 more games.
Yeah,
against
right,
them.
exactly.
Yes, the fact that you said 6, I was like, really? We're gonna play him 2 more times. Like,
Yeah,
what?
but that in September. But yeah, so it's like we'll catch our breath for a while. We got a lot of games
Which
against
I hope so,
the
and
Phillies
I think
stuff,
that's a
but-
good thing. That's what the Mets always need, kind of that like clearance of that to get a little more confidence back. Listen, I think with this guy, if they struggle against someone, you just have to. We talked about this with Collins. Like, you have to do something, and I just feel like there's not
Just
really
make him uncomfortable at
just
the plate,
anything.
and I'm still not talking about hitting him. You know, just because that creates another problem. But just sort of pitching in a little tighter.
But change the book on him too, right? Here's the other thing: don't pitch him inside at all. Maybe because first of all, look, he's hit a lot of home runs this year, but he's not going to hit one to the opposite. I mean, he's pulling all of these and crushing them. I'd rather him get a double in the gap than crush a home run.
Maybe it's the mentality of these mostly younger pitchers these days that it doesn't bother them. But I mean, if you think of guys like Pedro and Clemens, if a guy keeps hitting you around the ballpark, you're going to figure it out. You're going to make sure
Clemens, Piazza.
Yeah, exactly. Piazza was killing him, and he's like, "Well, I know what to do. I'm going to throw a shard of a bat into your neck."
No. Before that, smashed him in the head and knocked him out.
Jeez.
Remember
that?
Oh my God.
So exactly though, and I don't know. So I mean, it's frustrating to see the week started reasonably well. Ended otherwise, and we'll get into those specifics in a minute. But I guess the big news from the week was Matt Harvey's election to have surgery. And for more on this, we go to Mets Wrap 360 medical expert Matt Ritter, who did some research on what he has and some other pitchers who have had it.
I did a fair bit on this thoracic injury, and apparently, what it does is it's a compression of your nerves in the shoulder area, not like any nerve in particular, but every time Matt Harvey was talking about feel, he actually meant he had numbness in his
we were
fingers.
talking about this before we started. When he says I'm having a problem getting a feel for my pitches, you don't think that means the actual grip. It's just sort of like a rhythm, but he literally meant he can't
Physically,
get a feel.
And so here's the issue. I looked up the guys. They said it had, quote, mixed results. And I looked up the most recent thoracic surgery pitchers. And I guess you could say the most successful were Josh Beckett and Sean Markham, which is not a high... That's not impressive.
At what point in Beckett's career was this? Was this after?
So unfortunately, he had a weird end of his career. I feel like a lot of us didn't even remember how he kind of went out. But what happened?
Yeah, I remember he ended up on the Dodgers,
and so he had the thoracic issue in 2012.
Okay,
and so he missed the year, and he came back in 2014, threw a no-hitter.
Okay, I do remember that now that you say it.
Right.
And then he tore his labrum and retired.
Yeah.
So is it just like, what do they even do for it? Do they try and relieve
they take
the pressure?
a rib out, apparently.
What?
Wow.
They're taking a rib out. He's like a male model. They're taking a rib.
That's crazy.
They're taking a rib out.
And then he's
going
to pitch left.
Yeah, he's got a,
Thank you.
Zoolander
Thanks,
Harvey. But so they're taking a rib out of the guy, and the other guy was Sean Markham.
Sean Markham, who was, Josh Beckett was kind of a big name pitcher at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Markham was a guy, you remember hearing his name, but he wasn't a particularly flashy guy.
And he came back and pitched one more year.
Okay.
That's
saying
not good odds.
These are the best ones.
Really not
mixed
good.
results. The other guys. Well, so right now he's also a month behind Philip Hughes, who just had it. Apparently, it's a very rare surgery. There isn't a litany of players. Apparently, maybe Kenny Rogers had it over a decade ago, but it's more advanced. You can't really compare them anymore.
Right.
It's kind of like Tommy John surgery now versus. So there isn't really a positive track record.
Now, is this something he could keep pitching? It's not like painful.
Well, it's too late now because he had the
the surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
But
like,
at one point in the week, there was the conversation, like, well, is he going to have the surgery? I don't know. There was never any doubt for me. I'm like, of course he's going to have the surgery. But anyway,
No, and I just feel like we were saying how, like, in the media, how he was avoiding answering questions and stuff. Like, this is a really big deal if this is what's been behind it the entire time and just nobody knew. So you kind of feel a little bad. Like, okay, sorry about that, Harvey, that we were, like, coming down
I've been
so
really
hard on you.
crapping on him all year.
Yeah, me too, though,
But, it's a really big deal. But you know what I thought about it. I wrote to you, texted you, tweeted you something. I was like, yep, he's done. Okay, next.
Yeah, you got to move on.
Just for the season. Like, it's not like I want him gone, but I just want him to be healthy and
whatever
back.
it takes.
Right.
But I don't know.
They say 4 months. He's going to be back. We have him under contract next year.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should get a pretty good indicator of if he's the, Matt Harvey that we loved once upon a time? Or
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they should kind of stop with the Dark Knight stuff. I'd be perfectly happy with Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Like, if he's Adam West Batman, can get us through, and maybe even laugh a couple times, that's all I need.
You know what's much scarier, though, now is if you just think back to where we were, 4 months ago when we were just laughing about how much pitching depth.
So much pitching, and
so we had too much. We're like, we got to trade Wheeler for somebody. We got Cologne. Why do we need Cologne, the All-Star? Why do we need that guy?
Right.
And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is there's starting to be these rumblings that the Mets should probably trade for a starter because Wheeler's a little bit further behind schedule than they thought he would be. If we see him in September, I'll be impressed. There's also the idea of if he's far behind, you might not need to rush him, for his sake. For the team's sake, I can understand that. So it'll be interesting to say. But there's not a lot of great options out there, pitching-wise. The one that I saw online, I was, really not impressed by. Clay Buchholz of the Red Sox. And I was just like, well, whose idea was that? Clay Buchholz's, agent? Because at his best, he was very average. But he's terrible right now. And I can see with position players that a change of scenery sometimes just, makes all the difference in the world. Like when Manny Ramirez got traded to the Dodgers, oh, okay, now I can play hard. But when you're a pitcher, you either have it or you don't. And I don't know. And unfortunately, the pitching a lot of the good pitching that they had in the minors, the Mets, they've dealt away, for guys like Kelly Johnson, last
we
year.
also traded Fulmer for Cespedes, and he's killing it right now.
Right, exactly. So those are a couple guys that you would have had, but then obviously, you needed to get Cespedes. That, I'm not even saying that, but it's just more that you had these tools and you don't now. Guy you don't hear anything about anymore is Miguel Montero because when he's been up, he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked great in Vegas either. So I don't know what they're going to do, but you just have to assume they're not going to do anything.
I don't think you can. Look, for a variety of reasons, I don't think you can. I don't think we have a package that is appealing enough to get a starter that would be a significant upgrade from Logan Verrett. For whatever he is, I don't think we really have the book out on Verrett yet. He's had some good starts.
He's had some really good starts, yeah.
And he said it. I thought it was like a humble, but somewhat confident thing to say. He goes, "I'm not Matt Harvey. I'm Logan Verrett." Like as if to say, look, don't put that on me, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to compete.
Do my thing.
Unfortunately, the last couple starts haven't been great.
Overextend my earlier metaphor. He's not Batman. He's Aquaman. He's not great, but he's Aquaman. He's going to get things done. And when you don't have to use Verrett as a starter, you're much better off, obviously, if he comes in long relief sometimes. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's where it is. And you just have to assume that reinforcements aren't coming, because...
But you know what is coming? Rest for Syndergaard and Matz right now, I think, is important.
I think that's very important. I'm wearing my All-Star shirt. I was very excited to have 4 Mets in the All-Star game. And I'll say first, I'm glad that they're getting rest instead. I do like the All-Star game. I don't know about you guys. I don't like other All-Star games in any of the major sports. I don't even think we should say Pro Bowl out loud ever as adults, but I do think it's fun, and I just like the idea of people getting to see like that inning that DeGrom had a couple years ago really showed off. People were like, hey, this guy's good, and we knew, and I just sort of like the idea of people getting to see Syndergaard, and that's fine that he won't be in it. Cespedes actually won the 1 home run derby that I went to at Citi Field, so I was kind of like the idea of him, maybe getting to be in the home run derby. I didn't even care about the game. I just wanted to see him hit home runs. But it's all right. So the big news for who is going, though, Big Sexy, Bartolo Colon, there was a moment there where I'm like, oh, is he going to be the only one going? But Familia and Colon are both going to be there. And Syndergaard's going to go. He's just not going to be in the game. I don't know. We've talked a lot about Colon here on the show, multiple families and things, because it's funny. But he's had a great year for a guy who says he's 43. I still am convinced he's 48. I always feel like there are players from certain parts of the world that when they get introduced professionally, they say that they're younger, and then you just have to stick with it, And then you have guys like, what was that guy? Fausto Carmona is what a guy said his name was, and then you've turned out that that's not even what his name was. It was Roberto Hernandez.
My God.
So, there's, he's 43-ish, And he's still having a great year. Yeah, of course, not every start is great, but even when he doesn't have it, and we've talked about this, since his little injury there, he's pitched almost better, it seems like. So I'm excited. Matt, how do you feel about Cologne being an all-star?
I think it's cool for all the other all-stars because it seems like they have this weird hero worship of Cologne that I didn't even realize until they did that article a couple weeks ago where all these random players were like, yeah, we love that guy.
How funny.
How could you not?
There's a thing on Snapchat that I saw just yesterday that's it's like the top 4 reasons why Cologne should be in or is in the all-star game.
Awesome.
And it was all his mess-ups, but like goofy stuff that just is fun to watch, no matter what. So and that's what I think that all-star game's all about anyway. So
I would also like to see, because he really only throws in the mid-80s, like him just be the pitcher for the home run derby. That would be cool, right?
That would be great. Listening to the radio broadcast of the Mets game today when I was at the gym, Howard Rose had an idea. Obviously, you're not going to actually do this, but he just thought it would be funny if Terry used Bartolo Colon just on deck to make it look like he's going to be a pinch hitter at some point. Because San Diego's where he hit his home run, as we've talked about. But I don't know. I mean, it should be fun. I like to see... I don't know. I just like to watch the All-Star game. And, it is on the one level, it's stupid that home field advantage is determined by it. But at the same time, it's a TV show. If they feel like that's what helps it be a TV show, I'm fine with that. So I don't know. Andrea, are you going to watch the All-Star game?
Yeah, I like
maybe
you said,
TiVo it and go through part of it. Yeah, I
think
gotcha.
so. But I don't know, maybe in real time. But I like the home run derby a lot too.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets a little.
The actual hitting of the home runs is fun, but
it's
man,
amazing.
I feel like if you did a pie chart of the home run derby on ESPN, it's 40% Berman, back. I'm like, okay, we get it. That's your thing. Yeah. So
somebody should keep a tally of how many times he says that.
I'm surprised, like Deadspin or some other website doesn't do that.
Drinking game. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, should we?
Yeah, I'm getting on a plane after the All-Star game, so I probably shouldn't do any drinking games.
Yeah, and you're gonna see a Mets game.
That's right. I'm gonna be at
awesome.
the first game of the second half, Mets Phillies, which I think it looks like now it'll be DeGrom and Hellickson, I think, somebody who I was surprised. So yeah, it should be fun. We'll talk more about that. I don't know. Let's talk about the good part of the week, which was the 3-game series against the Marlins, and there's obviously a blemish there, which is the second game. In my notes, I wrote that the Tuesday game was a 5-2 loss. The win went to Giancarlo Stanton, who drove in all 5 runs, and he's just one of those guys where you're like, oh, if he has a day like that, you're not gonna get it done. It doesn't matter who's pitching. If he's gonna be able to just drive the ball like that, and I mean, it's impressive to see in like the home run derby or a game that's just on in the middle of the afternoon and you don't care. But, when you watch him do it to the Mets, and it was Mets.
I got to say, again, it does the same thing that we're kind of talking about, but here you have a lineup where you can pitch around Stanton, who's now hitting like 600 for the month.
Yes.
I mean, he's got like 40 RBIs this month or something. He's hit an incredible amount of home runs. And it just bothers me when you go, oh, that's the one guy that can beat us in this lineup. Oh, that's the guy we just let beat us.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Well, that's the thing, and
he killed us defensively too.
Yeah, he had a great play. Yeah. So there was that game, and then wanting to show him up in the third game, Wilmer had 2 home runs in that game, which was nice to see. Beautiful. And then Matt and I were talking on Twitter, and how did Terry reward him after his 2 home run game?
Gotta bench the hot hand. This is becoming like every Met fan all over the country is now like seeing what Terry's doing here. They're a little bit. It's not just us who are like, what the F?
But how is nobody else closer to him saying the same thing?
Because they want to keep their job. Maybe I don't know.
But that is a good question. Yeah. I mean, isn't there like a team representative,
somebody? Who's like, I have something to say.
Doesn't like Cabrera or like Neil
Well,
Walker,
that's the problem is those guys haven't been around that long.
Know,
if David Wright was around, maybe he would say something.
But just cross out De Oz's name, or it's like just put Flores.
We're jumping around a little bit, but what's with the De Oza? I mean, enough already. I get it.
They are at the point right now where every player has to take off their jersey and go for Wilmer, like in Rudy, anytime that guy is not in the lineup.
Yes, no, I definitely agree. agree with that.
Flores coach.
I mean, why does Deaza continue to get playing time at this point? It's not like they put that much money on the table.
Do you think that they're hoping he gets hot so they can trade him for a pitcher? I have no idea what the logic
that's,
is.
you know what?
He does nothing
That's
well.
literally the only reason.
Right.
Yeah, I know. And he was fouling balls off into his foot today, so he's like he almost took himself out of the game.
Another injury, not weird.
Yeah, right, exactly. So. Yeah, and it's like, well, why is he getting so much playing time? And the
By the
answer
way,
is
Conforto is languishing in AAA, hitting 350
Yeah.
with like 5 home runs in the past week.
yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, that's
Bring
the
him
thing.
back.
It's like I'd say figure out a way.
Pissed he
That he went down, yeah.
I'm so pissed he went
I mean,
down.
you got to figure
By
out.
the way, Terry said there's no way that both Nimmo and Conforto are going to be at the major league level at the same time this year.
Why?
Yeah, because
So
why?
there's not enough playing time.
Yeah. Well, look, if you have
I really like
Cespedes
Nimmo,
and
though.
Granderson able to play almost every day, sure. But I don't know. You can figure something out, and let's see. Let's see how Cespedes is doing. Let's see, everything. But I don't know what you do to try and get those guys and Wilmer all a lot of playing time. And look, Wilmer, it's not going to last forever. Unfortunately, even if he had played these last couple games, here's like 5 days where he doesn't play. So we'll see how he hits in the second half. But there's encouraging flashes. There's great signs that you see even in games that they've gone on to lose. Let's talk about the 2 wins before we talk about those. So the first win of the week on 4th of July, that was a great come from behind rally. They were down 6-0 in that game and they won 8-6.
It was amazing.
That was that's like something.
That was one of the highlights of the year, actually.
Yeah,
Game.
and we're unfortunately we haven't seen much of that this year.
We've seen the reverse happen to us.
Right,
every
exactly.
time.
We saw a good deal of it last year, which made last season so much more exciting. And I know it's encouraging. And then sure, there's the setback on the Tuesday game, but then again, DeGrom pitches well, and they win on Wednesday, so it's great.
I
And
was
then-
ready to be like, guys, this is all working out.
Yeah.
This is going according to plan. I said take 2 or 3.
Yeah, you
from
said-
the Marlins and split. I said 4 and 3.
Yeah, that would have been great. And the first game against the Nats, it was just that back and forth slugfest, which, I don't want every game to be like that. They are kind of fun, but, edge of your seat, like, not in your stomach kind of fun. But, that was a great game. And, again, little cherry on top that the loss went to Oliver Perez in that game. But,
I keep looking up and being like, are they still pitching this guy? Like,
yeah, but then he
why?
was able to get some big outs later in the
Yeah, I
series,
know.
and I'm like, all right, I guess that's why. But that game, the Thursday 9-7 game, there were homers from d'Arnaud, Reyes, Wilmer, and Asdrubal Cabrera. So it was like, great. But the real highlight, and I'm going to just say, if we see it again this season, I'll be impressed. There was a double steal in that game. Do you remember, Matt?
Yeah.
Do you think they did it by accident? Did they read the signs wrong? That only one of them was supposed to steal?
Stand still.
But I don't know. So again, and I was saying this on Twitter, if we had done the show on Thursday night, it was like, this has been a great week.
Yeah.
We just, even if we only take one more from the Nats, it's going to be great. We're going to go into the break. It was very exciting. And then just three
more
huge
days.
turds in a row. I mean, that Strasburg game, that 3-1 loss on Friday, they definitely had that in their grasp.
I
And
got to
they
say,
could've-
that one really bothered me. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
The third man on third.
Yeah.
Nobody out, right? First and third.
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody out. Reyes, you got to steal that base. You
That
gotta
was
get it.
yeah, and I know he's not as fast as he used to be,
gotta
but
get it.
I would have, as angry as I would have been that he got got caught stealing, it'd be like, all right, they're trying to make things happen. That's why they got him, because
That's
nobody
it.
steals.
You got to run.
You do have to run
and
there.
like, yes, Granderson popped out to second, which is the absolute worst
Yeah.
thing you can do in that moment. But if Reyes steals that base, it's a different at bat. Everything
totally.
is different. Like, you got to steal. You got to
Yeah.
take the first pitch and steal
Pitcher's
that base.
head.
I mean, that would have been, I think, a huge, even if they had lost the next 2 games, that would have been huge, because that's a game where both Cespedes and Thor come out early. And if you had been able to win that, I don't know, I just feel like that's a real boost emotionally, all that kind of stuff. And, it just didn't happen, and that's infuriating. When you just get killed, really, like yesterday's game, they weren't really in it. That, the 6-1 loss, and it was against Scherzer.
Scherzer, Verrett, you chalk up as an L before the game starts.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. So it's like, maybe if you keep it close and get to the bullpen. That's one of those games. And you didn't keep it close, so it didn't matter. So, to have gotten that Friday game would have been great. But then you get today, and it's Matz and Gio Gonzalez, and Gio Gonzalez looked terrible this year. And to to Matz's credit, after the early, of course, basically a game has to start. You should just spot the Nats a 2-run home run by Daniel Murphy when the game starts, because he's going to hit it. It'd just be like, okay, we'll just start with the at-bat after his, and we'll give you the 2, because it's just going to happen. And, he pitched really well after that. He actually, went much further in the game than I thought when it started. But when you get outdueled by great pitchers, it's fine. But Gio Gonzalez is not a great pitcher anymore. It was just, I don't know, it's the day before the All-Star break. Why is this the lineup? Oh, I know, because everybody's hurt.
Yeah.
There aren't really alternatives. There wasn't much else they could have done. But again, it was a game that was easily within their grasp. But then, Dusty Baker did kind of go for a good old school move, and he brought a starting pitcher out of the bullpen who could have stayed in for a lot longer if they needed to. Tanner Roark looked great. They really couldn't get anything going. And, I don't know. Papelbon has actually looked surprisingly good since he's come back from the DL. So, I don't know. The Nats aren't going to give you anything, but I do appreciate that we aren't going to see them again for
a while.
Not long enough.
I know.
You know what cost them the game again? In my mind, just complete neglect for a runner on second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why does Worth get to steal third?
And I don't.
Nobody paying attention at all, and changes the whole dynamic of the inning. Now you've got somebody on third, nobody out. It's over. You're screwed.
Yeah, and again, it's like, how is Jason Worth running so freely on the bases?
Yeah.
It's frustrating just how casually they concede second and then third base, sometimes to the same runner.
Well, I feel like that's a problem with the team overall. Like, there's a disconnect there between, and obviously we spend so much time talking again about pitchers because that is such an important part of the game, but they're not the only, there's no communication. I feel like there's a really big disconnect. It's like, okay, they're focused so hard on trying to get whoever out and like work the lineup, but it's a team.
You don't
sport.
give up third.
Like,
you don't give up third with less than 2 outs ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't neglect the guy on second.
Like, even throw him by having a meeting at the mound or something.
Yeah.
Like, just do something.
I mean, we've given
this
up
is
76 steals.
Yeah.
And then on the reverse of that is how we talk about how we're awful at stealing.
Yeah.
Where is any sort of motion in that?
Going
forward with that.
I mean, that's, if you look at plus minus whatever. I mean, you were down 50 plus steals. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous
I just think it has to start somewhere, and like, when is that going to happen?
Because
and where
Jason
is that
Worth
happen?
is not some speed demon.
No.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, there are guys that that they're, Billy Hamilton from the Reds. There are guys who are just going to steal.
Average speed guys shouldn't be stealing third.
Yeah, and also, I would say that, Jason Worth is below average. I think he's 35 at this point, and he doesn't move like he used to, and he was never that fast. And I don't know. I don't know why it isn't a bigger problem. They don't address it.
Right.
Or, maybe they do behind the scenes, but they don't improve, and I get it.
To us,
look,
it seems like nothing's changing.
Look, Darno doesn't have the best arm. I get that.
But that wasn't on Darno.
Yeah, that
today.
one's not on him. Yeah, exactly. So,
and it wasn't Syndergaard pitching today.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger issue. It's obviously it's like, why are we not making this a point of emphasis? Like
exactly.
You said?
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see, but that's interesting to me.
You know what I'm happy about?
what's that?
We're going into the break and we don't have anybody who's hot right now.
It's true. Even last year, yeah.
Like,
So you're like,
we're not
oh,
cooling.
well.
The break
We're
usually
not
comes
cooling
at that point. Yeah,
anybody.
you're not cooling
We're not
anybody off.
cooling
It's like
anyone
a good,
down.
like you're
Not
starting in
even
an even
pitchers.
playing field.
There's nobody.
Yeah.
DeGrom's
Also-
hot, I guess, but like
Yeah,
nobody.
but he can use the rest. A little time with the baby. That'll be
Reed could
great.
use the rest.
Yeah,
Really could use the
Reed's
rest.
looked great this year, by the way.
My
One of
boy,
the things
that's my
that I
boy.
want to do for next week, which we'll talk about, is we'll pick our players of the first half.
Yes.
Oh.
And Reed is definitely in contention because Reed, the 1-2 punch of Reed and Familia. Obviously we've talked about Familia when he doesn't have a save opportunity, but when he does, he's been great. Reed has looked good. Obviously there's going to be hiccups along the way, but lately he's been
Blevin's
fantastic.
been looking pretty good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Robles, maybe not, but it's true. So I don't know. I do think that the break comes at a good time, and
And
You
like
just-
not soon enough.
Not soon enough. Yeah,
Best time.
Why didn't it come on Thursday?
We need to stop playing Major League Baseball
Yeah.
games. It's like Brick in Anchorman. Like, maybe you need to sit this round out, guys.
I think that and look, you don't have to look far to realize that it could be worse. The Cubs have lost 9 of 10. I don't know if they won today or not. I wasn't paying attention because I don't care. But they lost 9 of 10 games, and the Mets were a huge part of that. But that's got to be a much worse feeling because the Cubs were 14 games up on the Pirates, and then all of a sudden they were 6.5 games up, in a blink. So we're not that far off from where we were a week ago when we all felt good about everything.
What was our record last year at the break?
It's almost the same, and they said it on the radio broadcast. It's, I think, like a game or two. This game hadn't concluded at that point.
Except the Nationals weren't 18 games over 500.
Right, and the
there's that.
Nationals, were in such disarray last year, from the manager down, and guys getting choked in the dugout. Who knows though? Who knows what stupid trade the Nats could make at the deadline this year?
Or Papelbon and Harper could just get in some beef
Yeah,
again.
yeah. I mean, what do you think? Everything's cool with those two now?
Also, the Nats have had very good health. Very good health, and that makes
That's a good point. And they didn't last year.
Big difference.
I almost just looked to knock on wood, and then I'm like, no, that's not
Don't
our
knock
team.
on
wood.
Why would I
No,
do that?
we do not
Because
knock
you
on
never
wood. I'm
want
not
anyone
wishing
to be not
injury,
healthy.
no.
Exactly.
No, you don't
But-
want, you're not hoping that
God-
somebody gets hurt, but then when you hear they are,
No, but-
you don't have to cry about it.
Also, when you look at the Mets, you're like, what are you guys doing in your what's happening? What kind of jinx is it? Because it's all different things.
Yeah.
All different.
It's a lot of little things going on. A lot
I don't
of
know.
things.
Weird stuff.
It's a good time to take a break, I think.
All about it.
But Mets Wrap 360 will not take a break, even though as we alluded to, I'll actually be back east next weekend. I'll be at the Mets at Philly game. It's a friend of mine decided that that's what he wanted to do for his bachelor party. Go to like a nice old timey Italian restaurant not too far from Citizens Bank Park, and then we're gonna go to the game.
Oh, you
So-
guys gonna
What
go to the
restaurant?
oldest restaurant
Yes.
in Philly?
I went there.
We're gonna go to Victor Cafe, so I don't know if
No,
that's the
not
oldest
it,
one.
but I've
Yeah,
been there.
I was gonna say I don't.
I forget the
I
name
sent
of
him.
it.
I sent him a link, and that's the one he picked. Actually, it's my friend John who was on the show last week via
fun.
Skype. So, so I'm gonna do that, but you guys will be here on Sunday, and I hope to record something, maybe something favorable. Maybe I'll. Find some Met fans at Citizens Bank Park, because we're at the point where when the Phillies were great, it was a very loud, very pro Philly crowd. But usually, anybody that had ever been to the Vet, it's a great opportunity for all the Mets fans that live in South Jersey. They just take the bridge from Trenton, where they all seem to live, because it's closer and easier than heading up to Queens. So you usually find a lot of Met fans in Philly, and that's what I'm hoping for. But so we'll see. But you guys will be here, and then we can look ahead. Next week you'll be looking ahead to 4 games at Wrigley and some other interesting things, and we'll do a little bit of a look back on the first season as a whole, but the first half of the season as a whole. I sometimes think of them as 2 sepaned seasons. So
I'd like to think of them as 2 separate seasons.
as we kind of pining for gold a little bit, panning for gold too. We're trying to maybe pick who the player of the week was this week. I'll go first in case you guys need a second to think about it. I said it earlier in the week. I'm going to stand by Wilmer. He's still my guy. He looked great, and it's not his fault that he got benched in the middle of a hitting streak. And he looked great. I think that his energy and Nimmo's energy, the positivity that you're getting, I think is great. And I hope to see more of that in the second half. Andrea, do you have a player of the week?
I've been so amped about my players of the week, guys, every week.
Sure.
And this is definitely one where I don't really have one. I will agree. I like Wilmer a lot, but I'm gonna say Nimmo.
Love
because
Nimmo.
I think we wanted him. Remember, we were talking about it last week, and then I wasn't able to be here. So I'm going to carry mine over.
Okay.
And then also because he just seems like such a cool guy and a good player.
He's
and I
still
also,
smiling from his
he's
first at-bat.
So
He hasn't stopped.
smiley.
Yeah.
But most importantly, my favorite is when one of the announcers call him Nemo, and I die. I just lose it. And it's not even because they call him Nemo. It's because they like do a don't moment, like
Yeah.
where they're like, "What?" And so I just think it's
Well,
they're like, Nemo, what?
his Twitter is "You Found Nemo," so he's really
I wonder if
embraced all
he's
things.
like, does he have a friend or a wife named Dory or something? That'd be cute.
I don't know what his
Have you
wife's
ever met
name
one?
is.
Oh my
Yeah, maybe there's
You
a
should
Dory.
hang out with somebody named Dory
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point.
Just
Is there
ask-
a baseball player with the last name Dory?
I don't know if you can think of one. Let us know
Yeah.
at ABTV Mets. Matt, your player of the week.
So I'm going to give it to DeGrom because he's now cemented going to his second half. I think for the first time this year, I think all of us on this panel and all the Met fans out there feel confident he is an ace.
I agree.
And it took all of the first half
Yeah.
for him to get back to that point. For whatever reason, he had the stuff with his son.
Sure.
And he was just not, his arm maybe was dead or whatever it was. He wasn't reaching back and getting to that 96. And he's a complete pitcher. And I'm like, I feel like heading into the second half, I feel very confident that we have, as long as Syndergaard is healthy, we have two aces.
I think you're right, and it's a good time for Syndergaard to get a little bit of a break. They're talking about not pitching him that first series in Philly.
I think they should give him a rest.
Yeah, let him go. I mean, I think that the plan is he'd pitch the second game at Wrigley, so he's going to get pretty much 2 weeks off, which is great. I think he should get that.
Yeah.
And
just be smart about it.
yeah, and because it doesn't seem like that kind of problem where he needs to be on the DL. So.
We should be able to beat the Phillies without him pitching a game.
We sure should.
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
We should be able to, I should be able to see DeGrom outpitch Jeremy Hellickson.
You should have a happy day, but we never know.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But, honestly, if I don't have a good day, it'll make for a better video. But I hope it goes well. Anyway, well, thanks to everybody who has enjoyed and followed the show in the first half of the season. But we'll be back next week. For Matt Ritter, at Matt Ritter1, Andrea Fasano, at Andy Fasano. And don't forget, the show is at ABTV Mets. Tweet us who your player of the first half was, and we will read some of those in the future. I'm Christian. At Christian DMZ, Christian Bladt. We will see you next time on Mets Wrap 360.
Stop benching the hot hand.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.